if we're excited and we want to get the stuff made for us and we're really set to go, where do you recommend people go to find good WordPress plugin developers?
This video is brought to you by EpiPies Academy.
Yeah, I've had great experience working with a team, and then once you find one or two people that fit well, you pretty much keep using them for all your projects. So when I got started, there's a lot of freelance websites out there. Odesk is one of them. I think Elance is another one. There's a few more, but the one I highly recommend is Odesk. I've had it's just odesk.com. I've had most success there because that website is very well organized. You can type in, you make a job description, you clearly explain the skill set you're looking for. The people that apply, you see their reviews, you see their skill sets and their sample projects. Anyway, it's a very nice organized site. I highly recommend going through Odesk. But a couple of things, when you work with developers, it's not always the case, but sometimes they're in a different time zone, a different country, even quite a bit of time difference. So be aware. One tip I have is when I do communications with the teams, and they have different teams all over the world, and the iPhone app, if you have an iPhone, I'm sure on Android it's the same thing, you turn on the world clock, and I add all the countries that all my developers are in, so that I know I can just quickly reference, okay, if I'm sending an email now or I see them on Skype, is it their time zone now or not? Like, it helps communication so you don't get frustrated when you send an email. It's like, oh, why is he not responding? Then you realize, oh, they're sleeping probably. So just be aware of time differences. The other thing is communication. And I don't mean communication between you and the developer. That could be an issue sometimes if English is not their first language. But something I learned very early on, it's communication between myself, like my ideas, and the paper that I'm writing it on or the document I'm writing. Sometimes you have this idea in your head and you're not doing a great job explaining it. You think you are, but when you write it down, it's not as clear. You hand it off to a developer, and they don't deliver exactly what you had in mind, and then you get frustrated, and then you turn around and say, oh, why didn't they do what I asked them to do? So it's good to step back and really review what you actually wrote down and be as detailed as possible. And I always always look within myself first before I and blame or accuse the developer of not following my instructions, because a lot of times, most of the time, it's me. I don't communicate on paper properly. In my head, it's clear. On paper, it's not that clear. So writing it down very clearly is very important step when you're communicating. You also want to do a test project. If you're the first time getting in, the first time you're hiring a developer, and it has good reviews, do a very simple, say, hey, I want a WordPress plugin that prints this on the screen or shows this button that does something. Just give them a test if you have doubts. I've done that a few times, but like I said, once you have a few developers, you won't need to do this again. Yeah, you can work with the same developers, assuming that you treat them well and you guys have a good relationship. And the relationship is actually very important. You don't want them to feel like they're just a developer that you're just paying money. You want them to feel part of the team, right? They're contributing. They're executing your vision. They're executing your vision. So you want to make sure that they feel part of the team. You keep motivating them. And another tip is don't hire the cheapest one. People tend to go on Odesk or those freelance sites and just sort by hourly rate and look for the cheapest person with the skill set and hire them. It doesn't work all the time. Most of the time it doesn't work, just from my experience. I find if you're starting and you have a very tight budget, don't go for the cheapest. Go for the guy slightly more expensive. And just because you get better quality, you get better. If you do the cheapest, you get what you pay for, and it's true. That saying is true for developers. Don't go for the cheapest is my recommendation. Spend a little more, find the perfect fit for skill set and that kind of stuff. And
yeah, and like when creating software, I just want to add also, like sometimes the cheap developers, they end up being way more expensive than the than the actual expensive developers, because it takes you more time.
Yes.
You have to spend more time with them. It's like there's less chance of project completion. Like the risk is bigger. Like your whole project might collapse because of them, right? If they don't deliver. So it might be orders of magnitude more costly to have the cheapest thing you can hire.
Yes, that's a very good point. Yeah, they can be cheap, but they can take them 5 times as long to deliver the product, and they may never finish. They don't have experience. They may never complete it. Yeah, that's a very good point. And one final tip I would say is, especially if you're a technical person like me, excuse me, sometimes you tend to you want to tell them how to solve the problem. Say, I want this feature and I want it like this, and I want it to do this and use this. You get almost too restrictive. You want to sometimes give them a little bit of, especially the ones that you trust, the more senior developers, give them some creativity, some flexibility to come up with creative ways to solve the problem. Because sometimes they know more than you a lot of the time, actually. So they have more experience, so they come up with more unique solutions, more efficient ways of doing it. So it's good to be very clear on your instructions, but it's also good with the more senior ones, the ones you're comfortable with. Just let them be creative a little bit, because you'll be surprised. They come up with some good problems to good solutions to the problem, and something that you never even thought of yourself. So it's definitely good to give them a little bit of flexibility once you have a relationship with them.
Yeah, and also sometimes they don't want to be micromanaged either. Sometimes they just want to do their thing and make it happen.